how much damage Kinich. Today, we're gonna see how much we have Mavwika on an attack percent Saiyans. We have Eons on here. This is new since Kinich has been released, so we're gonna see how well the team works. I don't know how well the team will work, but yeah, let's see. Also, one thing I'd like to point out for any... This is like my third time recording this video, just so you know. But something I'd like to point out for any Kinich mains, or maybe future Kinich mains, maybe you're still summoning for them, you're gonna wait till the end of the update to get them. Look at this. So you can see that he only regens energy on his first hit there. So I don't know why, but 1 out of 3 hits regens energy. It's good, but it's also bad because, like, imagine if all of his hits regened energy, he'd have like almost 0 ER cost. All right, so here we go. Finally, hopefully, finally, you know, well, this will be it. So let's go ahead, Q skill, allow it to apply Dendro, then we Eons on, and then we go ahead, do this. Now, the 5th hit, I'm not going to be doing this, rotation because of the way that works out. It doesn't leave us with much stuff, and boom, and yeah. So you theoretically can do the 5th hit. It's just you're going to need to do the snapshot tech, and I do not. It's just not good for me, and I don't like doing that. Whereas in an Emily team, you can do the 5 hits without the snapshot tech, and you can just use the burst, and you'll be able to do the 5 hits pretty consistently, I've found. So Emily's team is probably going to be better than this. Now, let's point out a couple things. C0 Eon-san, you know, or C1 Eon-san, actually, but it does nothing for us. You know, I don't have this. I don't have any of this stuff, so yeah, it's not great. C5 Bennett, so Mavwika's missing 15% damage bonus. Until I see 6 Eon-san, I probably won't see 6 Bennett. And then we have Mavwika, she's C2, she's doing 10% damage overall, so meaning, you know, when Kinich hits like 400,000 at that first hit, he's really hitting like, you know, maybe 390 or something like that. So yeah, and you know, Mavwika is very strong. You know, I guess we could go over talent levels. I mean, you could see them. It's just they're the important talents that are maxed out, right? His burst, we did use it this rotation. However, I did not, you know, it's not leveled at all, so you're missing damage from that. You do have your E skill. He is C1, so that is, you know, what you know, it's very nice. Crit damage 100%. It's a very good upgrade. And then yeah, overall, here's the build. I do think that if you're running this team, you probably want some more energy recharge, because realistically, Eon-san here, she just isn't gonna, you know, like, you're gonna want to react with her because you're running Eon-san on scroll, right? You're running her on scroll, and then you can go ahead and run Mavwika on Obsidian or Golden Troop, whichever one you want, and then, you know, Noblesse for Bennett, right? But that is important to note that we don't have a signature weapon, so his base attack is not over 1,000. It's only 900-ish, so 20% attack is close to 200, but it's more like 180. So yeah, you know, if you did have a signature, it'd be 200 and something attack. It's very high base attack that Kinich has here. But yeah, that's really all that I have to say for that. Let's go ahead. I will maybe come back. I'll either come back or, you know, I'll leave. So subscribe if you enjoyed, I guess, and I'll come back. Okay, so I just got done looking at the footage and putting up the numbers, and we ended at 1.9 million, and yeah, that is above Ayaka with Miss Coffee and everything. So I mean, this is good. This bodes well considering we don't have C6 Eons-san. So if you can get the energy recharge to consistently get scroll activated, which I think you can, especially depending on the enemies that you're killing. Like, you can get a lot of enemies killed, but even without that, you know, if we go ahead and we look at, you know, Scroll of Cinder City, this is giving 40% damage bonus overall, right? So this is giving 40% damage bonus. Well, we're gonna get, you know, extra attack, right? So we're gonna get more attack, and we're also gonna get, you know, an upgrade to this, which is gonna increase the or no, not this, but you're gonna get an upgrade to the Q skill, which is gonna give you more attack, and then her C6 is gonna go ahead and give you 25% damage bonus. So at the very minimum, that will counteract the loss of 45% damage bonus, so, or 40% damage bonus. So I don't see this as an issue. I think 1.9 million, like, you know, even if it's bursting every other rotation and Eon-san is only making, you know, use of the scroll set every other rotation, I still think that this team is pretty, you know, solid, pretty good. Overall, I don't think that, this team is like super in need. I do have numbers for the Emily team. These are outdated numbers. These are because I'm using Toma on the team. This was before Mavwika even released, but Kinich before Mavwika and before Eon-san and before all this stuff, I had marked down on an Emily team with 4 hits at 1,100,070 damage, right? Wasn't the best, certainly not, right? That's not like huge, but we had known like Mavwika is gonna come in. Mavwika came in, I think she did around like 390 to 300, like maybe 400. 400 may be stretching. I think 390 to 370 is where she, sat at in terms of her personal damage. So almost 400,000 damage, along with her C2 providing an extra 10% basic, raw damage boost to Kinich, right? Which helps him out do a lot more damage, right? So overall, yeah, this team pretty good, I would say. 1.9 million is not anything that is, bad whatsoever. I think that's very good. You compare that to a, Ayaka team. Ayaka team hit 1.8 million, right? Like that's one thing, right? Ayaka team, although, Ayaka team was buffed because we had this buff going up for Ayaka, so I don't want to say like Ayaka's worse because like we have C2 Mavwika here, right? C2 Mavwika is on the team. Whereas, Ayaka's team, she doesn't have like a C2 support. She has Ayaka, then Shinha, then C1 Miss Coffee, then C1 Fiorina. So, and that is where I like to compare the characters. So it's, it's unfair to have, a C2 R1 Mavwika with Kinich, but it's not unfair for, Ayaka to have a C1 Miss Coffee and a C1 Fiorina in my eyes. If it had been like a, C1 or R1 Mavwika, whatever it is, had it been like that, I would have been completely fine with it, but it's not. So there is that caveat to the damage. So just want to make sure we're clear on that and how this isn't like necessarily, super vindicative of, what I personally like to see the level of my characters. I think, probably it would go down to, it would probably go down a decent chunk, right? It'd probably go down maybe like 1.6. And then you would have C6 Eon-san afterwards and maybe bring it up to 1.7. I do think we would lose quite a bit of damage, so like 200,000 damage ish. So yeah, that's exists, but I think overall though, still 1.6, 1.7, that's a good amount of damage. Not counting it in DPS because I don't know, I could count it in DPS. I haven't done it personally right now. I'll maybe do that in the editing step. I don't know. It's a little hard to decide when to enter rotation. To me, it feels like the best way to measure a rotation is to immediately at the last hit assume you've basically cleared the chamber. Otherwise, you're just going to end up being like, okay, well, you swap back, and then it's like, it's hard to ever measure in like these number formats how the performance is going to look in Abyss. All you really can do is take a character into Abyss, a lot of times take them into, oh, hey, the new Abyss reset, let's take Kinich in, let's take Kinich in. And then you can sort of get an idea of what the character is, how its, power level is, because there's so many factors, and it's the reason why tier lists are not really that good. Saying objectively, like, the spreadsheet impact isn't good, right? Like, there's very few characters that we can say are definitively like, okay, these characters, like these legitimate characters are just the best characters in the game. That's Nevi, Mavwika. Honestly, I don't know if I could put Arlecchino up there because even then, there are still like certain scenarios where Arlecchino, right, she performs worse than a lot of the other characters, whereas Nevi, Mavwika do not because they have such massive AoE, such good control over the damage. It really, like, there's nothing that really impedes them unless you're straight up going up against like a Hydro immune enemy or a Pyro immune enemy or a Pyro shield or a Hydro shield. Unless you're going up against something like that, there's nothing that impedes them, and it just clearly, and to me that like clearly shows like those two characters and why they are the best, and like definitively I think those two characters, do step above the other, characters in the game. But in terms of like, a tier list, I don't like Varissa. People say she does more damage than Arlecchino, but personally, if I were to put them on a tier list, due to the way that I've used Varissa, due to the way that I've used Arlecchino, I'm not so high on, Varissa because she can sort of have an issue if you're fighting a lot of enemies and stuff. Having to chase all of them down can get really bad for her, and overall it can sort of, stack stagnant into a very long run into Abyss, and it just wouldn't end up doing well. There are certain situations, you know, in AoE where that is completely the opposite, and it's like, oh, she's just destroying every single AoE phase, right? There are situations like that. That is, again, a C0R0 Verissa, and it's been a long time since I've ever had my Arlecchino even close to that level, so I could not definitively give you that answer. But if I were to make a tier list, I'd put Arlecchino above Verissa purely because she is able to control her damage better, right? So that's where I sort of want to get at with this. So like, I like doing the how much damage videos because it's like, okay, look at this character, how much damage are they actually doing? Because I can play a character and they can feel super strong because, you know, that's what they do. And then I could be like, oh, wow, they're not actually that good. It's exactly what happened with Ayaka, where I was like, oh, she's easily going to do 2 million damage, maybe even 2.5 million damage. And then I think she came out and did 1.8. And it was like, that was like the most shocking result I've ever seen. And it is like a, you know, you can't deny that she only did 1.8, right? I just wanted to quickly go over that just so we're all on the same page. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.